She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. So glad you decided to join us today. Today, you are going to hear a very powerful story. Hey, so many people are saying things about millennials, right? Well, you're going to actually talk to one today, 23 years old, who has accomplished a lot in a very short period of time. You need a little bit of inspiration for your business or your career? You feeling like there's nothing good out there for you to do? Are you feeling like maybe your idea is really not going to amount to much? Have you left college with a giant debt the size of a mortgage and no hopes or plans of changing your financial future? Well, guess what? When you talk to Sara Smyth, you're going to be shocked because this young lady reminds me so much of another young lady who started from the trunk of her car in a payphone booth and became a millionaire inside of 2 years. So joining me now, Sara Smyth from Atlanta. Raw and Rebellious is the name of the business that she started. She's actually a friend of my daughter-in-law, Rachel. Grew up with my daughter-in-law, Rachel, who is actually the director of this show. So Sara Smyth, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
First of all, you're absolutely gorgeous, and I'm so proud of you. When my daughter-in-law told me about you, I'm like, we got to talk to her. And here's why. You are 23 years old. You have started a very successful brand. You have done something really amazing, and we have a lot of families who watch this show. We have a lot of kids that actually watch this show from all over the world, and I thought, what a perfect person to bring on for this day to inspire everybody. And to hear your story. Yeah. So, okay, you didn't grow up like I did. You grew up in a great home, you know, and obviously had great friends, like Rachel being one of them. Yeah. So you don't have the I grew up on welfare, pregnant at 17 story, homeless at 21 like me. That's not you. But you grew up in a nice Jewish home with parents that loved you, you know, with lots rich in tradition. You went to college. And what did you study in college?
I studied Rehabilitation and Disability Studies in Spanish.
Okay, so tell me why Rehabilitation and Disability Studies?
So my mom is, sorry, I'm outside. There's a FedEx truck coming by. So my mom is an occupational therapist, and I kind of grew up going to work with her, and I've always really loved, you know, working with people. I'm definitely a very extroverted person, and I've always loved kind of helping people, and I've also always been pretty interested in the medical field. And so for me, occupational therapy kind of seemed like a great field to go into. And then in high school, I started working at summer camps and volunteering and getting more involved with the population of people with special needs. And occupational therapy, a lot of people don't really know what it is, but it's a lot like physical therapy, but it works more with getting people independent, doing everyday things on their own. And that could be people with disabilities. That could be someone that's had a stroke or is trying to relearn how to kind of function the way that they used to. And so rehab disability studies was just kind of a good major for me in my, like, on my journey to go to occupational therapy school.
So you basically wanted to help handicapped kids?
Yes.
Okay.
People with disabilities, yes.
Okay. So not just kids, but just people with disabilities?
Yeah. Any age. I mean, I definitely love working with kids, but I've also worked with tons of adults. So I don't really have a preference there. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I love advocating for them. I love hanging out with them. And I think they're just like everyone else, and they're really incredible. And
they're overcomers. Yeah. I would say they're better than everybody else because they have things, they have challenges that you and I don't have, and yet they have the best attitudes about it. You know what I mean? At least those that are working towards, you know, rehabilitation, and those who are. I grew up with a mom who was in a wheelchair. So I was the caregiver for my mom. And she was 29 years old when she broke her neck and was told she would never, ever walk again, and got to witness a miracle 5 years later. Yeah. So I understand the occupational therapy and the disability part of it. I changed my mom's bedpan, got her dressed, put on her makeup when I was 11 and 12 years old, all the way much later. So I understand where you're coming from with the heart for people who have real freaking struggle. Okay, so you also studied Spanish and you loved to travel around the world, but you are not in occupational therapy. You actually started a jewelry business from your dorm room. So let's talk about, and you have a very successful brand, and I saw your stuff and my gosh, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Seriously. I mean, you have done an amazing job. So again, like you started 2 years ago, okay, straight from your dorm room. Right? A broke college student like everybody else is, but you're not being stupid about it. Instead, you start making jewelry right from college.
Yeah, exactly.
Built an Instagram page of 40,000 followers with this business, with your jewelry. So what prompted you selling jewelry from your dorm room?
I mean, kind of like you said, I was a broke college student. I just got back from studying abroad in Spain, studying Spanish, and I was just beyond in debt to my parents, and I just had no money to my name, and I love jewelry and fashion and all that, and I just couldn't really afford anything, and so I made some stuff for myself, and I was waitressing at the time, and I had a bunch of coworkers that were like, oh my gosh, where'd you get that? Will you make me that? And a bunch of friends too, and I kind of just saw that as, well, actually, initially it wasn't even me that saw it. It was my family, my grandparents, and my parents were like, you should try to sell that. And I was like, I don't think anyone would buy it, but I could try. And I had a friend that managed a boutique where Rachel and I are from called Shoe Fly. And I brought my stuff to her, and I was like, hey, would you think y'all would be interested in selling this? And they did. And
okay, so hold on. Isn't it so funny that you made a piece for yourself that you wanted to wear because you couldn't afford to buy any jewelry?
Yes.
So you happenstantially grab a bunch of different materials, you throw this necklace together, and people are like, where did you get that? Where did you get that? Where can I get one? And you literally say to your grandparents, and by the way, what a blessing your grandparents and your parents were to you, that they were able to plant the seed of entrepreneurship in you and tell you to consider starting a business with that. This is Dani Johnson. We're going to see the birth of an entrepreneur right after this. Do you have a closet full of clothes yet say, I have nothing to wear? Are you a mom doing her best but desperately lacking me time? Or maybe your schedule has you dressing practically instead of powerfully. What if I told you there's a system, a blueprint that can save you time, money, and turn every head in the room, as well as impact the world through fashion? Friend, you're in the fashion business whether you like it or not. You're an ambassador representing your faith, your marriage, family, and business. Style is just a skill made easy with 123 Style Me. 10 steps to style success that will expand your leadership, save you hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars. This program will bring you peace of mind, reignite your marriage, make you more productive, respected, and instantly boost your confidence, equipping you to be bold and beautiful. Go to courses.lindapage.com. Again, that is courses.lindapage.com and make a priceless investment in yourself.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
So, you're a broke college student. Rather than whining about not having any money, you have a desire to do what every 20-year-old wants to do, go shopping. But I love what this young lady did, and because she didn't have the money. So she's broke. She has no cash. She just came back from studying abroad, has a great purpose for going to college. But it all started with making a piece of jewelry for herself. Joining me now, Sara Smyth from Atlanta, Georgia, who is a very successful jewelry maker who now has her business in 18 different states and 150 boutiques worldwide, and she's all of the age of 23. So today we are talking about thriving on this Thursday and the birth of this entrepreneur. Like, wow. Two things I see here, Sara. Two things. Number one, you were very blessed. You need to, when we like stop talking, it is you owe mom and dad and grandpa and grandma the biggest thank you of your life. And here's why. Because they taught you to be an entrepreneur. They taught you to think outside of your own excuses. They planted that seed that anything was possible. You didn't grow up in this home that told you, oh, you dreamer, that stuff's ugly, no one will ever want it. No, that's a reality for most people. That really is a reality. But your family clearly groomed you for success instead of failure. And they believed in you, and their tongues were wise and were a fountain of life over you. And so here your grandparents spur you on, and I think it's so funny that you gave them the objection. No one would ever want to buy this, even though you had people wanting it right off your neck. No one will ever buy this. So how did they handle your objection?
I mean, this sounds cliche, but I feel like my family has always just been so supportive and so just about like following your dreams, do what you want to do. We'll always be there for you. And that's just been such a blessing for me that I'm sure I take for granted sometimes. But I mean, they're just so incredible. And they were just like, no, like you need to do this. Like just try. Wow. And I was like, I mean, I don't have anything to lose. Like I said, I had no money anyway. So I was like, I might as well just try and sell this stuff. And yeah, they've supported me ever since.
So how much did you sell your first piece for?
Oh gosh. So originally when I was selling it, there's wholesale and there's retail. And so I was wholesaling it to a store. And so that would be half the price of what I would retail it for. So I think my first pieces were like $10 maybe.
Okay. So your first pieces were $10. And then, so you started taking pictures of these necklaces and putting them up on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me what happened next.
So one thing I would do when I would take pictures of my necklaces, which is kind of something that I've built off of, is I layered them a lot. Like I put like 3, 4, 5 necklaces together.
Nice.
And at the time that wasn't really something I think that people did. And I just did it because I liked the way it looked. I wasn't really even trying to do anything. And so I took a bunch of pictures on my neck and I posted them on Instagram, and I got all these messages from girls that I knew and girls that I didn't know, wanting to buy my jewelry. And so that's kind of how it started. And a couple months later, so I did that throughout the summer. And then a couple months later, I made an Instagram account specifically for the jewelry when I started back at school, because this was all in the summer.
Right. So how much money did you make that first summer?
Oh, gosh. I honestly couldn't tell you. I'm not sure. I mean, it was great. I probably made a couple thousand. I mean, I was waitressing at the time, so pretty much anything was a step up from there. Because in the summer it was so slow. But I honestly don't know. I mean, for me, it was kind of, I mean, yeah, it was about the money because I needed the money, but it was just kind of like this new fun adventure. And I'm such like I'm a very self-motivated person. And so for me, I was like, okay, well, if people want this and people like this, then what can I do to make this bigger? And you know what I mean? And kind of like continue to grow this.
Yeah. Okay. So you started with just taking pictures of the jewelry that you were making. People then were buying it, from Instagram. How much were your pieces selling at that time?
They range from probably $20 to $30.
Okay, so $20 to $30, and so then you start school again. You're still making jewelry. You're still studying, occupational rehabilitation and disabilities and all of that. And so when did it really start to pick up? Because this is just 2 years ago.
It started to pick up, I would say actually this time last year, like March time. Because I remember I went on spring break with my friends. And I got back, and at this point, because I didn't have a website until this past May, so at this point I was still taking orders through my Instagram, and I just remember getting back because I was out of the country, so I didn't really have my phone, and I got back, and I had like over 100 messages. Wow. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I did it by myself until May as well, like until May or June.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was very overwhelming, especially near the end because I was graduating.
Okay. And then when did you hire your first employee?
This summer, right in May, like right after I graduated. My younger brother was actually my first employee.
That's awesome. How old was your brother?
He is a sophomore at Auburn now. He's 20, so he would have been 19 at the time.
Okay. And so what did he do as your first employee? Did he help you make the jewelry or did he help you manage the business?
Yeah. So at first, he just helped me make the jewelry because, like I said, I was doing it by myself. And as I was growing and I had this website now and I was selling to more and more boutiques, I was just needing more stuff made. And so I taught him how to first cut the chain for me and then eventually put the necklaces together. And then I hired one of my best friends, Tracy, for the summer. And then, but she was only there, I guess for a month or two. And then, because she was starting grad school for optometry in the fall. And then our family friend, Anna Keitel, I hired her. So I had 3 employees for probably about 2 months or a month.
Nice. How many employees do you have now?
Probably, I have 1 full-time employee. And then I'd say 12 or 13 part-time.
Okay. And so you basically are having them make the jewelry and you're the one managing the business as a 23-year-old young woman.
Yes.
Okay. When we continue, we're going to break the story down a little bit more and talk about some of the challenges that you have seen just as a, newly budded business person who didn't go to school for business at all. And then what you're actually doing with some of the proceeds and how you are now molding both of these worlds together, the disability and occupational rehabilitation along with jewelry. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this. Are you confident that you're always getting a good deal? Have you been equipped with the negotiation confidence, strategies, tactics, and supporting tools you need to close world-class deals? Finally, JPA is making the exact same specialized negotiation training and secrets used by the world's largest, most successful corporations available to everyone. Proven in more than 60 countries and used by brands like Adidas, Vodafone, Pfizer, Nokia, and others, the JPA negotiation method will set you up to save money and time while significantly increasing your profits. It doesn't matter if you're buying or selling real estate, closing contracts with suppliers, or selling products and services to individuals or organizations. Using their simple step-by-step negotiation preparation checklist, you'll be ready to confidently slug it out toe-to-toe with the toughest professional negotiators. It's time for you to stop leaving money and opportunity on the table. Go to bizneg.com/events to register now. Again, that's bizneg.com/events. Get registered today.
After plugging in the first steps to success, I've been able to pay off over $25,000 in debt. I've been able to live my life to the fullest and also excel in my career where I am sought out for different positions and opportunities.
I went from making no money to I made $13,000 extra using Dani's principles in that side business venture, and $104,000 that first year. I walked away from my military career after 8 years. It took me 5 years to pay off $292,000 in debt. Today, we're completely debt-free, and I've made a 6-figure income every single year. The last several years, over $250,000 a year. Every single bit of it is because of what I learned at First Steps to Success. I would definitely recommend you get to the very next First Steps to Success event, no matter what it takes.
I was able to learn some great skills to pay off debt. I paid off $38,000 in 27 months. My relationships are more genuine, they are more real. And my business, we've just now tripled our income in the business in just 2 short years.
My business is completely turned around. I'm now leading a big team in my business. I've been able to pay off some debt. I've found my spirituality again, so that's probably the most important thing that I've gotten since attending is just building back up my relationship with God, and since then everything else has been turning around.
Since attending First Steps to Success and training with Dani Johnson, I've paid off in 11 months over $14,000 in debt. I've gone on 5 vacations and I've gotten 2 raises at my job. So I don't know where you're at all, but all I know is if you want a positive change in your life, I highly recommend you get to the next First Steps to Success. Register today.
We paid off over $35,000 in debt in 8 months, which I'm glad my wife did drag me to the event. And I've been very thankful for all the teachings that Dani and the community has given us.
Since plugging in, my husband and I are completely in love with each other. Our marriage has been completely restored. We've paid off almost $500,000 in debt. My life has completely changed. We have beautiful twin infants. We have enough money to do what we want, go where we want. We travel around the world, and I have hope and a reason to live again. So I would tell you to get to the next first steps to success. Get registered right now and join me there.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So you might have a need for some cash. You know, so many people complicate things so much. You know, I was a homeless woman 27 years ago, living out of the back of my car. My husband is living with another woman. I have 50 pounds extra on my butt that shouldn't be there. $2.03 to my name and a $35,000 debt. I wanted to kill myself. Family had totally disowned me. Friends were the ones who, embezzled me. I'm alone. I'm doing drugs. I'm sleeping around. Everything is a mess. And I think this is the way my life is always going to be. Well, you know, my life up to that point, that's always how it had been. Growing up on welfare, violently abused, sexually molested, emotionally tormented. Just thinking this is the way it's always going to be. But so different from my guest today, Sara Smyth, who grew up in a wonderful home with parents who believed in her. And that belief helped to spur on just needing a little extra cash. Starts a little jewelry business from her dorm room in college. This is just 2 years ago. Within a year, needing to hire her first set of employees that today has 12 part-time employees and 1 full-time one. Her jewelry is now in 150 boutiques around the world, 18 U.S. states. She's just 23. What an amazing story, Sara. I want to ask you, how did you get it into so many different boutiques?
I think, honestly, what I owe a lot of kind of the growth and the success of my business is just all the connections I've made through college, through my sorority, through my family, and I guess just through like going to summer camp growing up, you know, just all the different people I've kind of met along the way. I think through word of mouth, through social media, because I never really was at the point where I was reaching out to stores myself. It was more, I would just slowly get inquiries because they would see my stuff on Instagram or maybe hear from another girl from their hometown. And so, yeah, I would say just from all the connections I've made.
Okay. So you would say that it's really important to build relationships.
Yes.
And that because your parents obviously taught you how to do that from a very young age and to establish good relationships with people, that between your entire, what we call a warm list of names, right? Between everyone that you met growing up, all of your friends, all your family members, every little job that you had, everyone that you went to school with, and staying in touch with these people, they saw what you were doing, and then it just took fire from there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it's really incredible just to see kind of people that maybe you weren't super connected with recently kind of like pop back in your life and want to help you and are so interested and invested in what you're doing and what you're creating. So it's been really incredible just to see how many people have wanted to help me even without me even asking, which has been really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you obviously did something right along the way to not create enemies with these people.
Yeah.
Seriously, which is why it's so important for people to be good to people and for people to teach their children to be honorable when they're in school and not be the gossip, not be the backstabber, but to be honorable, to be respectful of others. Did your parents teach you things like that?
I mean, I feel like that's really what I was raised on, is just those morals and just treating people with respect and loving people. And I mean, I'm definitely not perfect, and I've definitely done things that I'm probably not proud of, but overall I feel like I try to impact people's lives in a positive way.
It's really awesome. That's really, really amazing. Okay, so on that note of impacting people in a positive way, you have now a very successful jewelry business that is in 150 boutiques, all from a list of resources that you've collected since childhood. And because of the kind of training that your parents put in you, a building relationship. These are things, by the way, that we teach on our website, DaniJohnson.com, which is so funny. To hearing you talk, I'm like, there she is. You were raised the same way that we've had thousands and tens of thousands of other kids raised due to a book called Grooming the Next Generation for Success. But let's go here. So here you have this successful jewelry business, but you still have a heart for the disabled.
Yeah. I mean, I guess growing up, I've worked a lot and hung out a lot with kids and adults with disabilities.
Mm-hmm. So how have you married these two worlds together? I heard that you just had a photo shoot for your jewelry designs with disability, with people that are disabled.
Yes. So I don't know. I mean, I found that I suddenly had this huge social media platform and kind of a bigger social influence from Rebellious. And I also have always seen myself kind of working with people with disabilities and advocating for them. Just throughout my experiences, it's kind of become a passion of mine, and I really wanted to use my platform for good and to use it for something to where I'm still feeling as if I'm impacting the world in a good way, rather than just making jewelry for people to buy. And one thing that I think is really, really important is that people with disabilities are the same as, I don't think they should be treated any differently. And I definitely think our society is moving towards that. But sometimes I think it's even kind of, they're taking a step too far over the line in the opposite direction. Like people, like companies will have, like beauty campaigns or campaigns where they're like, oh, here's these girls with disabilities with these girls without disabilities, and look, they can be models too, or they can do this. But I don't think it should even be centered around that. I just wanted to get a couple of my friends from camp and get them in front of the camera and give them the chance to feel beautiful and see themselves like I see them, and like I hope they see themselves as well. And just not even make it about like, oh, here's girls with disabilities or girls in wheelchairs with girls that don't have disabilities. I just want it to be more of, here's a photo shoot, here's a bunch of girls, a bunch of beautiful girls, and models that are rocking my jewelry, and just have fun with it.
That's amazing. So the jewelry line is Raw and Rebellious. Sara Smyth, the founder of the business, she's 23 years old, just 2 years ago, started this nice little adventure because she wanted a little extra cash to buy jewelry. Instead, she made her own. And here we are, 150 boutiques around the world, 18 states here in the U.S., Truly a remarkable story, but what I love most about what you're doing, Sara, is that you're pointing your profits towards helping people who do not have the full ability to be helping themselves. You're making a difference, and there needs to be more people out there just like you. Thanks, Sara, for joining us. This is Dani Johnson. That's it for us today. God bless. Have a great rest of the day. Have you ever wondered if your investments are making enough money for retirement? What if you could buy an investment rental property for as little as $35,000 that rents for at least $550 a month? After Aaron and Drew Hudson asked themselves this question, Hudson Real Estate Investments was formed, and now 200 transactions have been conducted. Their system helps individuals buy and hold real estate. Their definition of a great buy and hold is a property that pays you a monthly positive cash flow from day one. Hudson Real Estate Investments has a team who find properties available for immediate purchase, vet tenants, and have qualified property management in place. So if you're looking to have freedom and live your life on your own terms, grab your phone and text the word FUTURE to 484848. Get started today. Text the word FUTURE to 484848. Secure your future now.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS. If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been The Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.